still watching Sojanel TV inside the White House for this year's Filipino-American History celebration. And of course, what I am most proud of is having been able to sit down and do a one-on-one fireside with a Filipino who has been making history. She has blazed some trails in the culinary industry, being the first woman and being the first Asian and first Filipina executive chef at the White House.
You know, like, that's a great glass barrier to break because, like, you know, women chef, women executive chef. And if my role in life is just to encourage them to pursue their passion, I'm here for them. And I'm going to break more ceiling for them to see it through.
Hello everyone, mabuhay! What I was thinking about when I sat here was the first time I came to the White House. I was a tourist in 2000, and we did the tourist things, and we got to take a picture outside by the gate. And in order for me to see the inside of the White House, I had to buy postcards. That was the only way I could see the inside. But today I'm not just inside. I have a seat, I have a microphone, and I'm interviewing an impressive immigrant myself. It is my honor. So for those of you who may not know, Chef Cristeta Comerford was appointed Executive White House Chef in 2005 and only retired about 3 months ago in 2020. Let's tell them, how many administrations, how many presidents?
Okay, with 5 presidents, 8 administrations, 52 state dinners. And by the way, Cola, you were actually in pre-K when I first started.
So what is the secret to youth? What dish is the secret to youth?
Of course, it's a Filipino adobo.
Alright, so trace to us your journey. You're an immigrant yourself, born and raised in the Philippines. I imagine you with all the trepidations of an immigrant coming here, you know, trying to explore the unknown and really finding your way, not just up, but all the way into the White House.
Hey, let me take it back all the way to Manila, Philippines. I came from Sampaloc, which is a university built. My mom is from Bulacan and Bulacanos. Yes. So I'm basically a product of like both cooks in the family. Although my mom was a seamstress and my dad was a school principal. On a daily basis, my mom would cook for about 20-some people, including uncle and aunts, and they're always there. And the mantra at home is, Mom would always say, "Kaina." Because her way of love, her love language is about the food. So growing up, basically, this is what I saw. But I went to Manila Science High School, which is actually a STEM school. And our sister school was the Bronx Science High School in New York. Very, very prestigious school. So when I was heading for college, my father was like, Chris, I think you should go to Cordon Bleu. So I'm like, what? Because back then, chefs were really a nobody. Nobody cares about the chefs. And I think in my dad's world, because he was a school principal and was a teacher, he thought that that was my talent. That's what I was called for. Between the food and the sciences, that should be where I should go. But I went to University of the Philippines. And took food technology. I did not finish and moved to the United States. When I moved here in the States, my mom was like, hey, why don't you just work with my friend who works at the hotel? And during my job interview, this was this guy that came in with a tall chef's hat, all white, a crispy white scarf, a crispy white chef's uniform, white pants, white clogs, and for a second I thought I saw Jesus. I saw my first chef, it's not just because of his uniform and the way he looks, but the way that he commands the room. And for me, it's like, I want to be that person. So by marriage, we moved to Washington, D.C., and that proved to be the best move ever of my life. It was in 1995. They were calling for some extra help. It was a Nelson Mandela dinner at the White House during President Clinton's time. And we're just helping out. I didn't intend to work here. I was happy where I was. And then in 97, 96, the chef asked me, do you want to be a sous chef? And like any other chef who answers the executive chef, you tell the bear, you're chef. So basically, here I am. And in 2005, Laura Bush installed me as the first woman, first Asian, first Filipino,
As a woman, as a person of color, as an immigrant holding that position, what were some of the challenges that you had to face, not just as you were starting, but throughout your career here?
Let me tell you this amazing story. I am a part of this club. It's called the Club Chef de Chefs. It's actually about 30 chefs who are the chefs of the heads of state, King Charles, the Chancellor of Germany, President Macron. So we meet every year to kind of discuss what's really, the similarities between our job.
It's a simple club.
It's a simple club.
Nothing of note.
Back in 2007, our meeting was in France, in Lyon. It's south of France, and it was the great chef Paul Bocuse that's sitting across my table. And they were conversing about, that in France, never it would happen that an executive chef would be a female. So I just smiled. Thank you very much. But the wildest thing about it, though, is that if you ask any famous chef who were their inspirations to become chefs, they only have one answer. It's their mom. Except, so why is a mother or a woman not good enough to cook in a professional kitchen if they actually were the one who inspired you? So it's not an easy thing. Because even right now to this day, the last, I think, polls that they did in 2022, only 20%, women are executive, just head chef is 20%. To be an executive chef, especially in a Michelin-starred restaurant, it's only 60% women. So it's still to this day, it's not an easy thing to be a woman executive chef.
And so in those many years of your service at the White House kitchen, I'm sure that there have been memorable moments. Those state dinners, you said 52, all of them. And even just interacting with your family of chefs in the kitchen. Well, could you share some of those memorable moments?
I think one of the most memorable moments I had was actually last year. It was with Elton John. Wow. It was called A Night of History and Hope. And it's actually to honor the history makers. But towards the end of the night, he had to do the 6 sets of song right in the middle of the South Lawn. Just imagine that, starry night, really clear. And then the top of the tent was clear. It was one of those acrylic tops, so you could see through. So my sous chefs and I, we kind of went upstairs into the rooftop and watched this concert, and it felt like he was singing for us. So that was memorable in that case. But actually, the most memorable thing that happened to me was what Koda said earlier. When during the AA and HPI events, and actually Helen, we served a lot of lumpia. I hope you had some, and it's my mother's recipe, of course. And that particular event, because that's when you showcase your cuisine, I went all out. I really went, all the petites went out. I took from the pantry. And what was amazing about it was when President Biden was doing his speech, And towards the end, you know, I was just standing in the corner there. He was actually telling my story. I was like, oh my gosh, he's talking about me. And then, so I just kind of like, you know, inched my way in the corner there because, you know, I don't like a lot of attention. It's not really an easy thing. And then he was like, no, Chris, come up here on the stage. And he really basically honored what I've done for the White House and honored the Filipinos as well. Yes.
After inspiration comes what? The vision. The vision is to move forward, not just individually, not just by ourselves, not just even within our group, but also to move the community forward. What is your vision? What is your vision for this community?
This has always been ingrained in my head. My pastor told me one time, God does not call the qualified. He qualifies the call. So basically, if you have an inkling or a passion that you know that this is really your calling in life, don't say to yourself like, I don't think I can do it, you know, because if it's already ingrained in you and given you, that's the way that God kind of plants the seed in our hearts. That this is really your calling. I mean, and as for me, I mean, for example, I've always loved to cook, but when I became the executive chef, I was scared as crap. I was like, whoa, daunting. But again, going back to the point earlier, I think when you're called to do something, you will be equipped to do it.
Thank you so much. One final note, there's around 4.5 million Filipinos. Is that the current count right now? And there are what, 168 of us in this room. We were called, and no matter what our hesitations are, no matter what you think, oh wow, you know, and so hopefully that this inspires you, this kindles a fire within you to, when we go out there, represent our heritage and continue to forge our history forward. Thank you so much.